focus on is just making sure we get these guys to continue to play together, continue to fight, which has been pretty cool. From my room, the running back room, I think we're taking strides when it comes to just the offensive concepts. I think some of the stuff that we're doing in protection has been really good for these guys. It gives them an opportunity just to do some different things in the offensive game plan. The run game, in my opinion, working with Coach M, who's one of the best in the country, in my opinion, really has helped these guys just to kind of understand and just give them an opportunity to feel like there's going to be a space for them to go out there and make plays in the run game. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No. How are maybe Nate and Kay'Ron different and similar to each other?
Great question. I think the one thing you're going to get with Nate is the consistency of, how he comes to work every day, the way he's going to attack the in-between time, when it's time to watch film, when it's time to take care of his body and maintenance. I think when it comes to being a conscientious player, attributes as well, but for him, he's kind of playing catch up, just not being here doing spring ball and just being, a couple months behind. I'll say similarities, they both are very agile. You think about that change of direction. I'm always preaching to these guys about transitions. They both have that innate ability to make guys miss in space. I think both of those guys are really tough. They're not huge, big guys, but they're hard to tackle. They usually fall forward. They know how to make guys miss. Those are the things you want. I just talked about pass protection. I like the fact that both of these guys aren't, afraid to put their hands on guys and stand in there, whether it's a linebacker or a DB coming from a distance.
Coach,
with that being said, what are your expectations for Kay'Ron as far as his responsibilities in the offense? Because obviously I think everybody thinks Carr's going to be the #1 guy, but is he going to be a 1A, 1B, or?
I would say, we're still in fall camp right now. We just put in, really the first 8 practices have been most of our install. I think we still have a lot of tread on the tire as far as what we're going to do the next couple of weeks. I am excited about how both of those guys are developing over the course of, these 8 practices. I think those guys are both really good players. I think when you ask me, what is Kay'Ron's role, I think his role is going to be exactly what Nate's role is going to be. Whoever is the most consistent, whoever continues to take the next step. Now, the thing that we do know in this conference and with the player that Nate is, he has those game reps. He's been through this fall camp at this place and been through football games at this stadium and some of these other stadiums. So I'm excited to see how he continues to develop, but I'm also excited to see what Kay'Ron can do as well over the next couple of weeks.
What is stood out to you? Talking about the different reps and the experience that these guys have that you have right now, but what about the kids that are coming in the future? High school athletes, transfer portal in the future, what are some expectations for people that you want in your room going forward?
That's a great question. I think, when it comes to the things that I'm always going to be looking for in this recruiting process, it goes back to the fundamentals that I believe in. Ball security for a running back is awesome, but I think about guys that play with good posture. Having that butt down, knees bent, playing with independent feet, the ability to have great transition. You hear me say, being able to make guys miss in space. That's the ability to go from speed to power and power to speed, that jump cut, that speed cut. In pass protection, which you don't see a ton of, from high school films. Obviously, with the transfer portal, you can get college game, but guys that you can see have great technique that seem like they have a process that they've been through. If you're talking the portal. I think with what we do on offense, a guy that can catch the ball out the backfield, that you can line up in different areas, that football intelligence. Some of those guys aren't always just playing offense. I like a guy that's playing safety and playing running back or playing receiver and playing safety. Sometimes you can find some of your better running backs in those positions as well. Okay. But I think the talent pool is going to be big. I think Michigan State is a great place where we'll be able to continue to get some big-time players, big-time running backs. Start with Brandon. This kid, graduated early from high school and was able to get here in the spring. I think some of the cobwebs of being brand new to college have kind of fell off. I think the thing that we're starting to see now, and he's very conscientious, But, 9 days of fall camp and his day after day, him being able to push through that has been exciting for me to see. I think just like any freshman, even though he graduated early, he has his mistakes here and there. But I think over the course of, as we get through the season, or get through fall camp and get into the season, I'm excited to see the jumps that he'll make as an individual. Makhi is kind of in that same thing. He just got here in June, but his attention to detail, I think we got 2 great young kids for the future. They're not afraid to ask questions. They understand the importance and the urgency it is for them to take the next step. I think it's less about am I going to play and more about how can I take the next step, and that's something that you want from a young football player.
Back to Kay'Ron, how much did you guys look at and maybe put stock in his Big Ten background to be at that position in particular?
The only thing about his Big Ten background, I knew he went to Rutgers coming out of high school. And I asked him why he left Rutgers. And he said he was immature and he probably should have stayed. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, this is the kind of guy I want in my room. A guy that is self-aware. His self-awareness is a quality that a lot of people don't have, and he has it.
With kind of to the freshmen and with the veteran guys you lost in the portal after spring practice, how much more likely is it we will see one or both of those guys on the field this fall?
I would say this, college football is a long football season, a lot of ups and downs. My job is to get these guys ready, so if we do need them, they'll be ready to play.
Do you, because different staffs have different approaches, and at some point you want to get their feet wet and just get a little soaked early, or do you want to kind of preserve, because with 4 games, you kind of look at it, let's save them for later in the year if we need it, or let's get them a little bit of indoctrination? I
don't know if that's even a question you can truly answer. I go back to how I answered him. College football season is really long, and I will say this, if we need him in the first 4 games, we're going to play him in the first 4 games. If there's a chance that we can spare it out or sparse it out, we'll do that as well. But to give you an exact answer, I don't know. I haven't thought that far.
Keith, we hadn't seen much of Nate as a receiver.
Yep.
And then in that last spring practice, he made a great play. In fact, this previous coaching staff didn't even use Walker as a receiver much. How important is that in your system, and would you rather have a guy who is primarily a receiver come in, or you want one guy who does everything?
I would say this, anytime you have a back that has natural hands out the backfield, even if it is just running your swing routes, your flat routes, your check downs, that's big. Because there's going to be a lot of times when that quarterback gets under duress and you're expecting them to catch the ball, because that's the last outlet and you want to catch it. We have screen games. We do things where you do see, guys like Nate that can come out the backfield. I would rather have a running back that can catch really well as opposed to a guy that's just a receiver trying to play running back. I don't know if that answers your question all the way. But I think, in our offense, it's big to have a guy that has, I would say, above average to quality hands in my room.
And what have you seen about Nate's hands?
I think his hands are good. I think the one thing that as we continue to build, we have so much in right now, because like I said, we put the bulk of the offense, but as we get this thing trimmed down and we get in the game plan, it's going to be a lot better for all the guys, including Nate, because now you're not asking them, okay, you got a hitch here, now you got this here and that there, and now we can hone in week to week what we need him to catch in the game plan and just get those reps, which will be beneficial for my room overall.
When it comes to Saturday scrimmage, I know you're a positional coach, obviously, but are you looking at the whole picture of the offense and who fits into it, or is it more of looking at what individual guys do?
Great question. For me, obviously doing special teams as well, I think the big thing, I'll start with my room. I am trying to see, now it's almost like we've been, I don't know if this makes the most sense, we've been practicing, I'm out there, you're spoon feeding them, and now you take this step back. And from a position coach standpoint, you're looking to see, okay, who can go out there and swim, if that makes sense. That's where I'll start with my room. I want to see how these guys are able to handle the ups and downs of a scrimmage, how they're able to handle when we change tempos and different things like that, whether it be, and when I say change tempos, I mean we're on offense, then we go to special teams, then we come back to offense, who's able to handle that over the course of a scrimmage. overall, we're all, as offensive coaches, we know the concepts, we know what the schemes are, so we are seeing, okay, who's out there making plays, and I don't think you just judge it all on Saturday. I think you're like, okay, this guy's been making plays over the course of these 9 to 10 practices, and that's really more how we look at it.
Just 8-day window, maybe the most important camp between scrimmage 1, scrimmage 2, and kind of digesting how guys adapt in between.
Oh yeah, this is you going through this week and next. I mean, this is like the big separator week over the course of camp. Great question.
How about the return wise?
Special teams wise, what do you feel comfortable with? What's been going well? What's some stuff you feel like you need to work on collectively?
I just think overall, when it comes to special teams, you are trying to eval talent, eval dependability, eval consistency, and then you're trying to create depth. And I think that's the main thing that we're trying to focus on. Like, what are the guys that we can count on who are going to be those 2 to 4 phase guys when it comes to special teams? The more we can evaluate talent and create depth, you feel better going through the course of the season. I know I keep harping on it's a long football season, but we're going to need more than the first 11 guys that run down on August 30th. We're going to need to have guys that we feel comfortable that can patch in and fill in, and they won't be our main guys. It's going to be the guys that are right now are giving the looks, and that's what we're trying to build, dependable depth.
What's the benefit of having a collaborator like Chad? You can have split duties a little bit between you guys. How beneficial is that?
I just think, just like on, it's 3 phases to the game: offense, defense, and special teams. I mean, anytime you can have multiple, bright minds and smart minds that, can give input and, obviously give you some version of a checks and balances system and hopefully watch each other's blind spots. That's really the benefit. I think sometimes you can get into your hole and think you have all the answers, and then next thing you know, everybody looking up like that didn't make sense. But you want that. You want to have, those conversations of intellectual honesty when you're trying to take the next step as a group, which is all better for the Spartans anyway.
What are the character one returners standing out to you?
I will say this, I have a better idea on Saturday because we're going to do a little bit more of that. A lot of the stuff has been getting the schemes and the front line stuff together. Today was really the first day from a kickoff return standpoint that we're able to get the scout team guys going, and we felt pretty good about where we are with our drill work and our fundamentals when it came to that. But come Saturday, I think we'll have a better idea. Sorry, but no, you're good.
Time for a couple more.
How much?
Yeah, I'm good.
How much does having the experience of both Cadillac and Montori back there at least give you some security going into it, knowing you have guys that have done it before?
I want to make sure I heard the question correctly. Can you say it one more time?
You have Alante and Montori who have both done either punts or kickoffs. I mean, having that to kind of build off of, I guess, that's probably a little bit of a security. You got guys who caught punts in 8,000 stadiums.
Yeah, 100%. I think it does bring comfort. It gives you an opportunity to feel like, okay, at least these guys are, can do it. I think when it comes to, where college football is at, I go back to the ability to build depth. And I think we have guys on top of Montori and Alante who are back there working. Like I said, I'm just excited to get these guys going to see what they do on Saturday.
What will your prototype running back that you recruit look like, and how much are you willing to let those traits slide or vary?
Are you talking about physical or?
A little bit of both,
Okay.
game, physical.
I think I'm probably less on he has to be this big and this because of, I've been fortunate enough to coach some really good players over the course of my career, and some of the best ones have not fit the criteria that everybody wants. I do think this. I talked about the fundamentals already. When it comes to playing with great posture, your ability to transition. I think the next part of that is going to be that ability to be a consistent runner, and I think that comes in different shapes and sizes. A guy that is always falling forward. We're asking about catching the ball out the backfield. A guy that you can see on film catching the ball out the backfield. I talked about, guys playing both sides of the ball. I think that gives us a big opportunity to really evaluate their FBI. Because if a guy can play both sides of the ball in high school, or, if it's, obviously transfer portal makes it a lot different. But doing those sort of background checks so you can see what kind of football mind he has, we're already ahead of the curve. I think at the end of the day, we want those guys that are hungry, that are competitive, and that have that urge to continue to take the next step. That's really what I'm looking for. But, they got to be fast. I know that. And they got to be able to score touchdowns.
What's FBS?
football intelligence.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.